Alan Walker, thanks for talking to me today.
Of course.
Yeah. Alan Walker, attorney at law. Yeah. Interesting time to be an attorney.
Yeah. Interesting time to do anything, right?
Yeah. Everything. Real estate, that's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been in a courthouse in months, and I'm a courthouse attorney.
Yeah.
We do Zoom or phone. Like this afternoon, I have a phone hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, I have a trial. It's on Zoom. Same with Wednesday.
Isn't that a lot better than actually going to court? You got your computer in front of you. You can use all your notes. You can just.
I don't know.
Time?
I don't know. It's we'll see. It's good because I don't have to bill my clients as much to go to court. In that sense, that's been good. That's cheaper for them.
They don't have to take time off work to go to court.
True.
Spend their gas and their stress and their driving.
They still got the stress.
Well, it's a little bit less.
Yeah, maybe.
They don't have to worry about the parking.
True. Parking for sure. But I don't know. It's easier when you have everything there, like exhibits and stuff like that. It's less awkward. You know, I can help if I'm at court. I can help point out this exhibit. Instead, I just have to.
Oh, because some of the exhibits you don't have on your computer. You can't screen share.
We have copies of everything, but getting a witness to follow the exhibit, at least initially, that's awkward.
Yeah, I find that there are a lot of things in my day-to-day work. I prefer to print it up because it's so much easier to refer to it. And when you have a small screen and you've got a bunch of things on the screen, you can't see the whole document on the screen. But you can have 3 pages in front of you and you can see all 3 pages.
Yeah, and I'm old, so I'm old school.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I do some things more modern, but still, yeah.
Do you think that this will continue after we open up?
For a while. I think it will for a while.
You don't think you'll go back? Do you think you'll go back to the old way eventually?
I think eventually.
Now, what about the jury?
Yeah, that is a real problem. There's, our Supreme Court in Washington has postponed jury trials at least until next month.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's going to be a real challenge. Like, I know that our Pierce County Court has tried to get some different venues to do that where they could have social distancing. Mm-hmm. Like, I think they were looking at the old Kmart building over across from Raymond Hall.
Okay.
And other venues like that so they can accomplish it without, risk of the virus or anything.
So rather than go all the way downtown and all of that, it seems to me, just like all the commercial businesses, that the courts could really benefit from the less commercial real estate, less space, having to manage all of that, and if they have most of their staff working at home, it seems like the courts could have a lot more flexibility. They would be able to, more people would be able to show up for court without difficulty if they get sick or just like with school. You don't want to send the kids to school sick. You don't want to go to court when you're sick. I don't know. I think that it just
I think
be a good thing in the long run.
I think so, but not for juries, though. I mean, I think it's a real headache for juries. And they could do some juries downtown, but not all the courtrooms are big enough to have social spacing.
Yeah. Juries are more complicated because of the technology. All of the jurors have to be able to use it, first of all.
Right, and most jurors are older.
Yeah, the rest of us get out of it because we have work to do. Yeah. That's true. Other than the Zoom calls, how has your life changed?
Well, I mean, there's nothing going on, you know. I mean, society was closed, you know, and my office was closed for quite a while. So, you know, it was an isolation life. It sucked. It was kind of crazy.
So you were still able to work.
I wasn't getting much work.
Okay.
I mean, I would come to the post office and get my mail and maybe work a couple hours at the most, you know, during that when it first hit.
Yeah.
Still pretty slow, but still.
Yeah. I think it's harder to get new clients in this environment.
Exactly.
For me, I'm a realtor, and I get new clients by developing relationships. Relationships happen when you're face to face with someone week after week. It's not just, oh, I'm a realtor and I know her and I'm going to remember that 2 years later. They have to see me. And if you're a lawyer, I think that's doubly true.
I don't know. I mean, getting new clients isn't necessarily that way so much.
Well,
some of it is.
I mean, I guess yeah.
But nobody was, you know, wanting to leave their home. So there was, new clients was the biggest issue. Absolutely.
What about now, though? Do you have people suddenly wanting a divorce?
Yeah. Yeah. After they spent 24/7 with their spouse, there's a lot more
I imagine so.
call for that. That's for sure.
And how about domestic violence? Have you seen anything like
Just
that?
a little bit. I've seen a little bit of TV. But yeah, that's certainly the risk with, you know, people having no escape.
I think I'm most curious to know if there is anything new any new cases or issues you've experienced in your practice that are related to the environment itself?
Not me, but, you know, the State Bar did put out a employment law informational thing. They're going to be adding that to their moderate means program. So they're training some attorneys to take on employment issues because there's a lot more of those going on, especially in employment.
And it just seemed like that would be a specialized area.
Yeah, it is.
It's just one executive or, well, maybe a bunch of them, but it's all just a very highly specialized.
Yeah, unemployment law is its own thing. And there's not a lot of attorneys that have done it. Really wasn't that much need, but the need has increased.
I was just thinking, though, of the differences because of the changes in the law recently because of coronavirus. If there are new legal issues that have been
there definitely are. I mean, I have a longtime client who is a fireworks distributor, and he's having issues with getting his license for the 4th of July, you know, which is just 3 weeks out or whatever. And so, I mean, he's paid bucks, you know, to import fireworks from China, 6 figures, and he's having a big issue with the state about how that's going to happen, if he can even sell his fireworks. He indicates that, like, the tribes who are, you know, he will sell some to the tribes. Tribes aren't doing it this year. So that's going to be, you know, there's several industries affected, like his.
I'm kind of disappointed about that. Fireworks, I don't really care about watching them so much. I had fun lighting them off. Little things like firecrackers, just throwing them when I was a kid. I would love to do stuff like that, and I think you can do that without any crowds.
Yeah, you can, and that's his position, right? But the state doesn't look at it like that as much, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, seriously though, how do we celebrate fireworks? We usually just go to your house and sit outside and do the fireworks in front of the house, and I think that's what
just celebrate me and my brother's birthday, like all over America.
Oh, the brother, come here, brother. Because this is fun. This is really fun. This is like as fun as it gets. Because my husband and Alan are identical twins.
Easier to tell us apart now. With his glasses and his beard.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never had trouble telling them apart, and I imagine Stephanie hasn't either.
No, you guys haven't.
Yeah.
But when we were little, it was harder.
Yeah. And I remember when we first got married, this was over 25 years ago, almost 30 years ago now. It wouldn't be that rare for someone to approach us and say, "Oh, well, I don't remember you having red hair," or something like that. They would think he was Allen, and they were wondering who he was with.
No, yeah, I just had that happen.
Yeah.
I went to a wedding. It was an outdoor social distance type deal. Not too many weeks ago, and I got approached by somebody who thought I was a parent.
Yeah.
It was over in your neck of the woods. It was in Parkland, so.
Okay.
But that happened. Still. Occasionally.
And that's weird when it happens now. Yeah.
I mean, I think Tara and I are used to it, though, right? It's been our whole life.
Yeah, and I guess to me you don't look the same, but if someone just sees you once every week, then
or once every year,
yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
Not very often.
And normally Perrin has his hair cut shorter. So.
Well, everybody does, but the pandemic kind of took that away, among other things too, right?
Yeah, I finally got my hair cut. Oh, I feel so good now.
Yeah.
My hairbrush isn't getting caught tangled up in my hair. That was so funny. Yeah. I wonder, what about, there are people with outstanding contracts and court deadlines, etc. What happens if you have a deadline that happens in the middle of this thing? Does it automatically get extended?
No, but the judges are pretty good about that right now with everything going on. For example, I had a hearing some weeks ago, and my client wasn't able to get the doctor note until like literally 3 p.m. the day before the hearing, and it was due 4 days by noon before the hearing. And the commissioner was good enough without even being asked to just postpone it, So, those types of things are being accommodated pretty well.
And child support, spousal support, I imagine that's kind of an issue now.
I mean, yeah,
some families.
Like I have a case where we filed for divorce, just filed for divorce during the initial stages of the pandemic, and his wife needs spousal support, but we need a judge to decide how much, and her attorney hasn't felt comfortable filing the motion yet to get that done, so that's on hold. I know he's been supporting her some, but not enough to her satisfaction, for sure.
I guess I'm just thinking that a lot of people who are currently paying child support, they may have had a job change.
A lot of people got laid off.
And they can't pay their normal amount, and would they be considered in default at that point?
Well,
violation?
Yeah, I mean, they owe it, but I don't think, I think a judge would be pretty...
But do they owe it if they didn't make the money?
Still owe it. If it's a court order, until you change that court order, you owe it up until that date. So they could bring an action to reduce their child support or alimony, but until that is filed, the old amount is...
So they could still bring them into jail if they don't pay it?
Theoretically, they're not doing that, though, I don't think.
Okay, I'm just curious about that.
Just theoretically.
I can imagine there's some situations that are really tense right now.
Yeah, there are. And I guess the more tense situations I saw were the non-custodial parent, the child might be living with a nurse or healthcare worker, and the non-custodial parent wants to not have that child with the parent during the crisis,
And that's certainly an understandable position.
Yeah, both ways.
In the first place, that child goes to that parent, and then they come to your place, and the healthcare worker, they're exposed to their kid might have it. Even if they don't get sick, they can still... it goes both ways.
It does, and you're worried about extended family, the older people that are the high risk, having some kind of risk.
There were quite a few healthcare workers that I have seen that actually quarantined themselves while they were working. They separated themselves from their family. Either they stayed in the garage or,
Oh yeah.
kept isolated in the basement. They are concerned, and there's a reason why healthcare workers have such a high death rate in this, and it's not just PPE. It's
The first responders. So.
Yeah, first responders are. They are the ones who I think are the most at risk. Even if you have a mask, you have to get really close, potentially, to the person. And, yeah, it's just...
Yeah, so that's a really tough situation for all of those folks when it comes to the custody exchanges and all that.
Yeah. In most cases, is it permitted to happen normally? According to the quarter?
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I figured. They didn't change anything.
No, and
that.
our governor actually put out there that it needs to be enforced, which was a good idea. But if somebody gets the virus, then that's an issue, or somebody in their household.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely is.
Like I have a case where the daycare is requiring, medical documentation that the household that had the COVID-19, is okay for visitation at this point. It's been several weeks, but that's what the daycare is requiring. You can't blame them.
In a lot of other countries, they have an actual pass, a health pass, that says you're clear.
Right. So that's kind of what the daycare is requiring.
Yeah.
So.
I think they might want to have like a standard one that everybody uses. Then it can be easier for doctors to issue it and for employers to accept it and know that it's a genuine document, etc. I don't know.
Right. Although if it's on, if it's on your doctor's letterhead, then
Yeah.
it's going to be accepted.
Yeah.
In some offices, like I went to the dentist a couple weeks ago, and they just took my temperature without even touching me.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different ways, I guess.
Amazing they can do all that.
Yeah.
And I am happy about all the things they're doing that they could have done 15 years ago, that now finally they're doing it. I set up an online classroom 15 years ago. Schools have not been using online classrooms, and they should have been. All these years, the students should have been using that as an extra tool for engagement. They could have been sick and at home and still participated in the classroom, maybe in the class work. If not the classroom itself, I'm not suggesting a video camera in every classroom, although why not? It doesn't seem to me, it's not expensive anymore.
Every classroom except math.
Yeah, because you don't want to be reminded of how terrible you were. Some students, maybe.
No, it's just so hard to learn that,
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Did you think math was hard to learn?
At some point, it became hard.
Really? Yeah. I thought you were always good at math.
I was up till a certain point.
I was pretty good at math. Once I did take a math class in high school, and I started it a week late. I went in there, and it was calculus. And I walked in a week late, and she's talking about something, and it was it was like the middle of the quarter, the way that she was talking. And I thought, I really don't need this class. I mean, I could have caught up easy. It wouldn't have been an issue. But since I didn't need the class, I just chose to drop it.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone would ever take a math class they don't need. But yeah, math's kind of like how law school was for me. I didn't miss any of it. I kept up every day. That's how you have to be with math. You can't get behind in it, especially something like calculus.
Yeah. Non-essential legal services, are there any?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only, quote, essential legal services would be like an attorney that would be appointed
If you're
a criminal and you
Yeah.
can't afford your own attorney, or if you're having issues with child protective services and can't afford an attorney. then the court would appoint an attorney for you. Those are essential constitutional right type services.
And is it essential to get divorced or to be able to sue your neighbor?
No, those are not considered essential.
Okay. I mean, this is a little bit of a gray area for me because I imagine there are things which aren't essential, but maybe are.
Well,
in certain cases, just because of the way.
Yeah, this is the deal though. Half of like family law litigants do not have attorneys. I mean, that's just how it is. So the court does provide resources, like there's courthouse facilitators that help people fill out forms. There are other resources that the court can help people utilize.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And then for that reason, it's probably affected your business.
Not particularly.
No?
I mean, if you can't afford an attorney, you can't afford an attorney. So.
Well, I guess that's true. But if you can't afford an attorney, but then the other party may not.
Well, that's true. Like my trial tomorrow, the other party doesn't have an attorney, But that's, like I said, that's half of the litigants in family law, so.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you haven't had anyone come to you because they're getting evicted or...
I don't do those type of law,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay.
But, the governor put a moratorium on evictions until like September or something like that, so.
Yeah, and I've heard, despite that some landlords are still...
Well, some landlords have, and then the state's gone after those landlords. So, yeah, that was a serious restriction that the governor put out there. Mm-hmm. So, there's teeth to it.
What do you think is going to happen, though, when that restriction is lifted?
Lots of evictions.
Do you think that there will be a program to ease out of this so that these people aren't
out on the street?
Well, first of all, yeah, my thing is, okay, they're not paying rent now, and maybe because they can't, but are they going to be able to rent anywhere else later? You're going to have so many people in that situation.
That's interesting because, I don't know, because if there may be a provision in the governor's order that doesn't allow credit to be affected, but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, but if I'm going to rent a house to somebody, I'm going to do my own background check. And I'm going to call the landlord.
Yeah, most of them
prior
are.
one.
Most of them are.
And they're going to say, yeah, they were great because they want you to take them on instead of that.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But not everybody does that. I mean, most people just do a credit check. So if it's not on their credit, they'd probably be okay.
Yeah, okay. Because I just see just a storm coming with that, everybody at once. And
yeah, once the governor's order expires, it is going to be a floodgate. I agree.
Mm-hmm. And it concerns me a little bit with regard to real estate because there are homes with tenants in them. And if you buy one of those homes, you want to make sure the tenant is gone before you take possession, because otherwise you might get in a situation where you're stuck with the non-paying tenant.
Well, if you buy a house and there's a tenant, then you can evict the tenant.
Right now you can?
Well, anytime you can.
Because I thought right now you're stuck with them.
New ownership. Well, right now you're probably right. There's the governor's order about no evictions, but generally, yeah. If you buy a house, then you can get rid of prior tenants, generally.
Yeah. I remember when the first order came out in real estate was not considered essential. And I thought, okay, so all these things, homes under contract, all the inspections that someone's supposed to do, the work you're supposed to do to finish the contract, and now you can't do it, and then...
No, a lot of people suffered because,
yeah,
they planned on closing whatever day during the middle of that thing, and, they couldn't.
And
So they became homeless.
And later they made it, they changed it so that real estate was essential, but you weren't allowed to do this, and this. And one of the things that was not allowed originally, the home stagers, they were not even allowed to come and remove their furniture. So if you buy a house, there's staging furniture in there, and the stager's not allowed to remove it, which means the new homeowner's going to remove it. There were so many potential problems originally, the way that it was, and I understand these things take time to work out. But I am glad they finally allowed it. My first thoughts were, there are so many people that are going to be homeless because real estate is non-essential. Think about it. Maybe you're living in a domestic violence situation. You need to move. Maybe you were trying to move because you're living in a mold-ridden apartment and you don't want to just buy a house without being able to have it inspected for mold. And I mean, I can think of a ton of reasons why you'd have to move. Maybe you're affected by COVID. Your spouse died. Now you can't afford the house. You really can't have housing be considered a non-essential. You think, oh no, who's going to move now? Well, you would be surprised. The market, from what I have seen, although the inventory is really low, it's the same market as it was.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
It's exactly the same. The prices aren't any different. In fact, there's maybe a little more competition, and there's the same interest. Maybe just the inventory is the only thing affected. I think people overreact when they're all worried about a real estate crisis. There will be effects on real estate, but real estate happens later. It's right now, people that want to buy, they have a job that's considered essential and they're still able to buy. Homeowners are maybe less likely to sell. However, coming out of here, people have been stuck at home. Their house maybe 900 square feet, or maybe even 1,200, and they got their kids home, they got both spouses home, using the same room for their home office, talking over each other, and the kids are asking questions about school, and the worst case is you live in multifamily and you can't even go outside in the yard. I think that single family is going to be in demand, and I think there will be sellers selling and upgrading, and I think a lot of people will be getting rid of their rented apartment and trading it in for a single family house, whether they rent it or own it. I think that's going to happen.
No, and from what I've seen, the market hasn't slowed down as far as demand goes. So.
Yeah, it's there. And I think sellers are the only ones that are hesitant from what I've seen, and maybe not that hesitant, they're just uncertain what's going to happen, and you want to make sure you get the best deal for your house. And this is a good environment to be a seller. It is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I think the economy isn't going to suffer too much in the long run. I think short run, which is still could be a couple of years, it's going to be difficult because it's evolving. I don't sense any sort of economic crisis or problem. What I sense is evolution. Things are going from one direction and they're going another direction. There will be new jobs to replace the ones that are lost. People in general will change how they live.
No, yeah, and it seems like the economy is going to be more of an American economy, less like especially with China after the
supply chain issue we've experienced during this has been major, and it's affected every industry, especially meat.
Although, some industries have taken pretty big hits, like Boeing. Boeing took a pretty big hit, so I'm not sure what that's going to do to our local economy.
Yeah, it'll just depend on how many airlines end up canceling orders or holding off on ordering new planes.
They got to do that. I mean,
I do think air travel will come back. And I think
Eventually.
it will be more of a personal thing. I think there will be less business travel and more personal travel. Now that you can work at home, you can work from anywhere in the world, you can work on your holiday. People aren't working 8 hours straight. They're working a couple hours here, a couple hours there. They're interspersing, they're making their day, they're balancing it out in a different way. And in many cases, it's not dependent upon a specific time of day. If you're not answering the phone or working with the public, you can be in another time zone and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I think more people will have leisure time because they're working from home and the kids will be able to attend school on vacation. And instead of having vacation times and standard work days, my vision is staggered work days. Why have everyone work at the same time and put all the traffic on the road at the same time? This has always been a dumb idea. Always.
Yeah, there's definitely room for more flexibility, and
Yeah.
I think that's one silver lining that we've seen.
I think a lot of good will come out of this.
Hopefully, yeah.
I think so.
But definitely some silver.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Alan, this has been fun. And it's the first time I got to do it here in person with someone. And yeah, it's an office. It's no different than sitting at home. But it's fun because it's in person, and it's also, by the way, my family is my brother-in-law, as I already said earlier. And
Well, thanks for doing it,
Yeah.
Debbie.
cool. Yeah. And thanks for making the time to do this. Deb enjoyed doing that with Ellen Walker, attorney at law in Tacoma, Washington.
Stay safe, everyone.